Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for coming today. And I want to emphasize that I think you should prioritize Christians and ethnic minorities um, for the P2 resettlement program, because I think they're most at risk. But let me go back to this question about all the young men in the refugee flow that Dr. Burgess raised, and the type of vetting processes that are utilized before admitting refugees to the United States. I heard you say you review their stories, you check the international criminal database. What other steps do you take to vet these refugees?
Well, if you want to get in deep into the details, we can have a classified briefing, which we've been giving more often now to members of Congress. And DHS are really the experts on it. But the steps include then the referral from UNHCR, so they weed out people who are not appropriate to refer to us. The preparation of their case, very importantly, the interview by DHS examiners, and then checking their names and their biometric data, their fingerprints, against U.S. law enforcement and national security databases. When there's a question, sometimes applicants are put on hold while further investigations are carried out. So nobody comes to the United States about whom there are any open questions. DHS they take their role extremely seriously.
And how long will this vetting process continue? How long does it take?
So right now the average age is 18 to 24 months. There's a sense in the administration this is too long. And part of it is we want it to be as quickly as possible for the sake of the refugees, but we also want it to make sure we don't cut any corners that would relate to security. So in the coming months, we will be carrying out a review of the program. The senior White House officials have asked us to make sure we bring a fresh set of eyes to this, so we will be working probably to bring in consultants to see if there are ways to speed up the process without cutting corners.
Do you ever turn anyone down for lack of information?
I don't know. I have to refer you to DHS on that. But no one comes about where they have any question about their safety.
To what degree do European governments share this concern about the potential for Islamic terrorists to exploit, the crisis to gain a foothold in Europe?
Well, they 100% share the concern, but they are not in a position to run the kind of program we are, as they have people walking across borders to reach their countries. So I was recently speaking and met the number 2 from the German embassy here. He said, I wish we had the luxury of taking 18 to 24 months to vet people before they cross our borders. So we are working to support UNHCR to help make sure that at the borders as many people as possible are screened and registered. And a determination is made, are they bona fide refugees? Are they people who are perhaps economic migrants who would just come for a job and are not fleeing persecution? But I think on this next panel, this is a good question to put to some of the European witnesses, is to get at what they are able to do and what they are unable to do with the flow currently coming from the Middle East.
And where are these individuals held while you're doing this screening? Where are they?
Oh, so some of the refugees are in camps in Turkey, in southern Turkey, and in northern Jordan. Many live outside of camps, as I mentioned. So they're living in apartments or in homes, sometimes with relatives. They're living on their own. They come to UNHCR offices to apply for the program, or they're referred by UNHCR or NGO staff who know about their situations and think they might make good candidates for resettlement in a third country.
Now, Secretary Kerry announced that the refugee ceiling in 2017 will be 100,000. What nationalities do you anticipate admitting in significant number next year? Next year.
Well, in the past, it's been the three top nationalities were Burmese, Bhutanese, and Iraqis. And that's changing because we've brought so many Bhutanese from Nepal that the numbers are now going down. We will still see significant numbers of Burmese, Iraqis, and now we'll be adding Somalis are climbing in terms of their percentage coming. So that will continue to be the case. I think what you'll see is about half of the people coming will be from Africa, and half will be roughly 40 to 50% from the Middle East.
And what are the most common root causes for displacement in Africa?
Well, in terms of becoming a refugee, you have to prove that you're fleeing, you have a well-founded fear of persecution for one of 5 reasons, which are race, nationality, religion, political belief, or membership in a particular social group. Displacement in Africa, of course, happens for more than that reason. Some people are fleeing famine, some people are fleeing, at one point Ebola. But right now we see big displacement because of poor governance and fighting in South Sudan. People have been living outside of Somalia in nearby countries for years now as that government, first for the violence and now as that government tries to get its feet under it. We're seeing more and more people coming from West Africa who are fleeing Boko Haram in northern Nigeria, and they're going to several countries nearby. So we also have unrest in Burundi causing people to flee. So often it's governance, poor governance, fighting.
You haven't mentioned Syria yet. How many Syrian refugee cases has UNHCR referred to the U.S. program?
It's about 22,000 now.
22,000. And at what stage are these cases in the U.S. resettlement consideration process?
They're at all stages of the process. Because it takes a couple of years, we are only just now seeing large numbers arrive. And so that's why we're anticipating that this year we can climb from nearly 1,700 last year to more like 10,000 this year.
Okay, and where will the United States process Syrian refugee cases this year?
So the top places will be in Jordan and Amman, Jordan, and in Turkey. And we also have some other facilities in the region. We would like to start bringing people out of Lebanon, but we're delayed doing that at the moment. So let's see. So Jordan is number 1. Turkey, Egypt are the other countries where we can bring sizable numbers right now.
All right. Finally, OSCE. Could you elaborate on the role that OSCE could have in monitoring the treatment of refugees as they transit from OSCE countries?
I'd like to answer that question. Before I do, I would just say, because I didn't know this until I saw it on a piece of paper in front of me, that of 18,000 referrals we have right now, 4,000 have been interviewed by DHS already, and 14,000 are awaiting their interview or getting ready for their interview. On the OSCE, we welcome any efforts by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and any of its institutions or field missions to coordinate with UNHCR and other international organizations to provide assistance to countries dealing with refugee and migration crises in Europe. The OSCE Secretariat and institutions such as the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights and the High Commission for National Minorities have experience helping countries respond to crises. The OSCE has a history of working with UNHCR. Just last year, the OSCE and UNHCR issued a detailed protection checklist outlining the types of actions the two organizations could take in response to various types of crises. OSCE is hosting a conference in Amman, Jordan, with its Mediterranean country partners, so that's Algeria, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Morocco, Tunisia, today and tomorrow, to discuss common challenges to European security, including the irregular migration, refugee protection, and trafficking in persons concerns. And of course, we support efforts by OSCE in this regard. and U.S. Ambassador to the OSCE, Daniel Baer, is the leading U.S. leading the U.S. delegation to the conference. We also believe that OSCE will be putting together an appeal for some funding from us, and so that our Europe Bureau colleagues would be taking a look at funding that.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.